Hello, I'm once again here and want to showcase a procedure using dice, which I've used like 2 or 3 months now in my ongoing campaign. This procedure is for Overland travel and explicitly for a way to handle the more mundane but still dangerous and important obstacles that the party might encounter there. And the core of this procedure is that like exploration and overland travel and survival isn't that hard by itself, but once like PCs have been doing it, are like worn out, then it starts getting dangerous. Like usually people will not sleep into their watches, they know how to set up their camp, they're not usually like going to just stumble, but if characters are worn out by weather, by combat, by just like the sheer amount of time they've spent outside, then over time they will deteriorate. And that's one of the parts of this procedure. So every player character will be divided into one of 6 categories in terms of their readiness to explore. So like the first category is someone that's like perfectly well rested, they are fed, they are well clothed, the terrain isn't too hard. And the 6 is like characters completely exhausted, barely able to move further. And I don't have like hard categories to rate players by. It's like mostly vibes to like not make it too mathy, because I want like the campaign to go like on while I'm doing it and not like have to pause every survival turn to calculate stuff that's not really that important, because the difference between what I feel it is and like making everything like countable isn't really worth it to in my opinion. I'm just going to show the categories I'm using. So like stuff that's in most like encumbrance and travel systems, like some kind of like other characters like unburdened, are they burdened, are they even overburdened, how quickly are they moving, how well are they fed, is like weather a factor that's maybe degrading their readiness, are they in some way like injured, be it combat or some other effect like poisons or illnesses. And lastly, what's the terrain they're traveling on. And to like make it easier, I created my own little dice. I'm not sure if they're properly visible on camera, so I've just like painted or drawn the symbols I'm using on the die, so to make it easier to read for myself. So for example, this mice symbolizes like players having eaten or losing some of their equipment, like for example like being eaten up by mice, but that's something that I'm going to like make up on the spot. Like maybe it's more plausible that they traveled over a river and something got so wet that it's not usable anymore, but that's like losing equipment. Then we have like these snorting symbols for characters falling asleep during their watch. Maybe they are straight up losing equipment that they've missed somewhere and can't find anymore. Maybe they're getting sick. They can't like remember where they were and they got lost during their navigation. They are completely worn out by the traveler, and maybe they have like bloody feet by this time. And this snake for any kind of like minor encounter that characters that are fully ready are usually like aware of. Like usually if you're like traveling and you have the awareness to look out for your surroundings, you usually don't step on like animals, but might still happen if you're like more worn out. And I believe I forgot to write it down, but I also have a symbol for characters like stumbling in some way and then getting hurt. So to make it quite simple, I have this this bag for the dice, and every time the PCs are exploring, in this case I'm doing this for 3 characters, and I'm usually also drawing a 4th die into which I'm grouping all of their hirelings or other people that are moving with the party to make it not too cumbersome. So they're all grouped to 1. You will have to adjust this to your party size. I'm currently using 14 dice, if I'm not mistaken, and most of the sides of the die are empty. This is by design. Yeah, if people are interested, I can give them like the further layout how I'm doing it. But because I'm drawing multiple die at once from this dice bag, it has to be adjusted for player size anyway. So if people want to like use the same procedure, I advise just like trying it out. So I'm going to roll die, and the important part, to go back to what I introduced, we have these stages. So in this case, we have like maybe 4 player characters, or like in my case, 4 player characters and in one-time PCs. And we see the first 2 player characters. Oh, they're not on the camera. Let's make it like that. Okay, the first 2 player characters are completely like unharmed. The last player character is it visible? Yeah. Would lose something, but only if they're already at like maximum exhaustion level, like 6 inside. And then we have this players being hurt symbol, which is already at stage 1. So any of the hirelings accompanying the players will have like a broken leg, and that's the result of this exploring or overland travel turn. I'll do it like a few more times to get it better. We have, once again, in this case, a similar example, like 2 player characters with no consequences, 1 character only if they're already heavily exhausted, and then once more a hireling getting hit. This is more coincidence. Like one last time. Yeah. Maybe to get a little bit into the details of how I decided to distribute them. I wanted the chance for players that are like fully ready to be like quite low, because that is by design, as I mentioned in the beginning. I don't really want characters that are well prepared to be stumbling and doing other stupid mistakes that shouldn't really happen, assuming like capable player characters. So the danger is definitely ramping up the higher you go. And that's mostly it. I believe in total, like maybe around a third of the dice sides are marked. And it's definitely weighted towards the higher numbers. I hope this is useful. And yeah, I can definitely recommend getting like blank die, which you can like draw on yourself and mark yourself. It makes designing procedures and mechanics a lot more fun and easier to like use in game, and you don't have to track like what exactly you assign to the numbers. Like previously, I had just numbers written on it, and I apparently had to like think in my head what I meant with these numbers. So I recommend getting like blank dice. Have a nice day.